Greetings everyone, and welcome to another Sol at the Movies. I just got back from seeing Despicable Me 3 by Illumination Entertainment, and here's what I thought about it. So before I even begin talking about Despicable Me 3, I do have to say that I have watched Despicable Me 1 and 2, so I do know what's going on with the story and everything. And in Despicable Me 3, the plot involves Gru and his new wife Lucy, who get fired from their job at the Anti-Villain League because they failed to capture a villain known as Balthazar Brat. So, when they're looking for new jobs, Gru discovers that he has a twin brother named Drew. So he goes to Drew's house, and Balthazar Brat is doing stuff in the background, and he wants to steal a diamond and power a giant robot because he was on a TV show in the 80s, and yeah. So the plots, there are many plots in this movie, are kind of a clusterfuck, to be honest. Any one of these plots in the movie could be its own movie. The whole Gru and Drew twin brother thing could be its own movie. The Gru and Balthazar Brat thing could be its own movie. The Gru and Lucy thing could be its own movie. The Minions thing could be its own movie, although I really hope it wouldn't be. So, right off the bat, this movie is cluttered as hell. It just feels completely unfocused in what it tries to do. Now, to be fair, Despicable Me 1 and 2 also felt that way, but this one I think is the least cluttered. Despicable Me 2 was by far the most cluttered, unfocused, and, well, pointless, because it was just there to show off the minions. This one has elements of that, but not as much. I mean, there's more plot as opposed to just showing off minion bullshit, which I can applaud, but it still feels completely unfocused and it feels totally inconsequential. So Gru is back as the main character, and he's the same, you know, he's alright. I don't think he's particularly funny or anything like that, but it's not like he's super annoying, which is thankful because Drew, his twin brother, is a new character, and he's kind of annoying. Now, I like his energy, but every line he says is so crazy upbeat, like so full of energy. He never has time to be quiet. He's just always yelling and screaming. He's really annoying. But yes, I do like his energy. And the girls are back, Margot, Agnes, and Edith, and it's just whatever, you know, they're there. Agnes is still deadly dentist disease to shit, and she seriously needs help, and Lucy's there. I found her much more annoying in Despicable Me 2, where she was just like, it was so hard to pin down her personality and character because she was just yelling all the time and like breathing in. I know that sounds weird, but in this one she's a little bit more downplayed because it's not really about her anymore, so Lucy is a little bit less annoying. The only new character that I have to say has any type of enjoyment is Balthazar Brat, who is the main antagonist, strangely enough. Now, the reason I like him isn't because of his personality or his plan or his design or anything like that. It's the simple fact that he's voiced by Trey Parker. Now, Trey Parker and Matt Stone, but Trey Parker in this regard, is one of my all-time greatest idols. I love his work. I've always admired him for his work on South Park and Basketball and Orgasmo. You know, I have so much respect for the man, and there's no way I can hate anything that man does. Even when he's totally stupid, like in Basketball, I still love him. So hearing his voice coming out of that man is just like, yeah. That's cool, you know, I can't knock that. I mean, Balthazar is he's just like a guy from the 80s who had a TV show, and he wants to take over the world because he got too into his character from the TV show, so that's fine, you know, that doesn't really bother me. It's just, yeah, like, if it wasn't for Trey Parker voicing him, he'd be completely inconsequential, but because of that, it's like, yeah, you get one little bit of thumb up for me. So, in terms of how this compares to Despicable Me 1 and 2, I'd have to say that this is the best one out of the trilogy. And no, I'm not counting Minions, the movie, because, I mean, I guess it's technically a prequel to Despicable Me, but it doesn't have anything to do with the story as far as I know, so I'm not counting Minions. But Despicable Me 1 and 2, I hate Despicable Me 1 so much that it makes me want to die, and Despicable Me 2 is just forgettable garbage. I could barely remember a thing that happened from it, and I watched it yesterday. That's how forgettable it is. But Despicable Me 3 wasn't as bad. I feel like because they already had a Minions movie, they weren't dedicating quite as much time to showing off the Minions compared to Despicable Me 2, and none of the characters were like so annoying I wanted to kill them. unlike Lucy in Despicable Me 2. Like, I just hate Despicable Me 2, basically. So yeah, this one, I don't think it's as bad as them. I mean, it's still not great, it's just... I mean, I guess you could put it in the forgettable pile, but like I said, Trey Parker as Balthazar is cool, you know, that's really neat, and it's not quite as annoying, so I guess it gets a thumbs up for that, but it's just so cluttered and unfocused that I can't even fathom what was going on. The problem is that, like I said, any one of those plots could be its own movie, and every single one of them feels completely disconnected from the other one. Like, the whole Gru and Drew thing is basically, that episode of The Simpsons where Homer turns out he has a half-brother and they look almost alike. It's almost the same thing, but you would think, based on the marketing for this movie, that the villain would be Drew. Because it's like, Balthazar was barely in any of the marketing or trailers or anything like that. So you would think that the plot would be that Gru would meet Drew, and Drew's not a very good villain, so Gru teaches him how to be a villain, and then once Drew gets it, Gru doesn't want to be a villain anymore. That's this whole arc, so then Drew takes the lessons that Gru taught him and becomes a villain. That's honestly the way I thought it was going. And then all of a sudden, just, nah, Drew's just there. So, when you think about it, Drew has absolutely no reason to be in the movie at all. He could have been cut entirely and nothing would have changed, because he's not the antagonist. He doesn't challenge Gru in any ways, so why is he there? You know, and if he was voiced by a different person, maybe he'd have some merit, but he's voiced by the same person, so it just becomes, like, more noise to deal with. So, yes. Do I hate Despicable Me 3? No, I can't say that I do. I hated Despicable Me 1 because everything. It's ugly, it's annoying, it's completely without focus, it's charmless, heartless, passionless garbage to me. Despicable Me 2 is forgettable, and that's about it. Oh, and the too much Minions shit. But Despicable Me 3 is just forgettable. I mean, with a decent villain, I guess. It's bright, it's colorful, it's loud, energetic. It has absolutely no downtime. Like, movies are supposed to have falling action, where you, like, calm down a little bit before the climax. That's how you do a movie. But these movies, well, this movie in particular has no falling action, so it's just like this constant straight line of noise and color, and it just overwhelms your senses. Luckily, I seem to not be the only one who felt that way when I was watching it in the theater, so I didn't feel alone. It's not like everyone else was pissing their pants while I'm sitting there like, oh, this sucks. It didn't seem to really resonate as much with people. And, that's okay to me. So, if you like this movie, that's fine. I do think it's better than Despicable Me 1 and 2, but I still wouldn't call it high art or anything like that. It's just another fucking Illumination movie that was made on a shoestring budget, for a movie, at least, an animated movie, and made to get the largest possible return with absolutely no heart or passion or charm. It's just a whole lot of hot, steaming garbage, in my opinion. And I really don't look forward to the day they announce Despicable Me 4. And that's all I have to say about that.